good, you look ready. Congratulations, you made it to the last and final video of the 4x-Focus video training. Congratulations, dude. Man, it has been a ride, hasn't it? Like 6 full-on fucking action, immersion-filled chapters. I know a lot of the trainings that we're in actually over here had a lot of information, and just like, especially in multiple video sections too, inside one of the sections. So it's like, I can understand your, I don't want to say exhausted, but your eagerness to want to finish, to complete, because you are a man of closure. You like to close situations. You like to close fucking open loops so that way you can learn and see what's going to happen at the end. All right? I know you are. I am too. We have that closest mentality. We're fucking killers of goals, of challenges, of dreams. And then we're on to the next best thing, the next thing that pulls us, eludes us, whatever we desire, right? So that being said, I wanted to basically introduce you to something that I've been working on for the last, I don't know, 3 to 4 years, right? Like I'm still kind of breaking it down. This is kind of just me shooting almost the shit when I shoot this video, but like at the same time, this is me trying to convey to you something that is highly important in my life, and something that I find and have found consistently that I've observed not only in my life, but my friends' life, my close clients' life, and also some of my mentors and a lot of people in books in the Bible and the Vedas, which is, if you don't know what the Vedas is like the Celtic or ancient Viking kind of Bible in a sense. It's also the Bhagavad Gita. It's like all of these little things, also in psychology books. It's not even funny. And like psychology books as well, they all talk about this specific little ideal concept. And there's men that have gone to war because of it. They've also gone to war because of women. That's kind of a silly thing, but it's true. They got to war for women because of the emotion, because of all this construct, because of all of this fleeting detail that hasn't been fully broken down and grasped. Is that right? Grasped properly. Like, I'm not saying that this is me fully understanding it, but I am telling you that after this training, you're going to have a little bit more of a better idea of how you can put all of this secret to fucking focus's energy information into your life, and how you can now, through your basic awareness of it, can use it to change your situation however you want it. You could create something out of nothing. You know your golden hours. Now you can go into those golden hours knowing that you have this full fucking power over your destiny, over yourself, because this whole training as we've broken down in this training is about state control. The secret to focus is energy, your state, your mentality, your mood, how you feel throughout the day, from the moment you get up to the time you go to bed. Everything like that. All right, so now what we're going to break through and what we'll be talking about right now, and I'm going to be kind of just, as I say, if I fuck up, it's just, remember, you got to remember, I've got the grasp of it mentally, but I've still yet to be able to explain it to people physically in this world. So if I fuck up, being honest with you, I'm a human being. If I fuck up, then that is me. But this is me explaining to you this portion of the training. Wow. So, if I haven't already told you what the name of this chart is, the name of this chart is called the Enlightened Observer Identity Control Chart. All right. So I have found, because I'm not like just a full-on peak performance coach or a high performance coach or some fucking life coach or just some laser performance precision coach. I like that name. It's kind of cool. But like, I like all of those topics, but they're all used. What I'm more interested in, what actually pulls me, like it's a fucking Wonder Woman lasso and it's wrapped around me and pulls me, because it's, you know, the lasso is like the lasso of truth. It pulls me and tells me to fight for truth. It is self-awareness. And the thing that they'd all been fighting about, this whole war, men that have been going to wars, the whole Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the thing that the Vedas, I think it's the Bible, the psychology books, everybody's talking about the mind and this concept of self, the I. The spiritualists also call it the I. They say there's a third eye going here. Whatever you want to call it, whatever it wants to be identified as, that is what fucking pulls me. But my mission, my overall goal, if I can complete anything in this life, it is to pull together, and the basics of this chart is to pull together my knowledge of both the self, spiritual aspect of it, and how it can really construct itself, and how we can pull and gather and perceive information from different mass forms of consciousness along together, how we can form and pull all that in, and we can use it for our peak performance in our daily life in this physical form. So there's a spiritual form, astral form, whatever you want to go, and then there's the physical form. All right, so this is what you'll be seeing on this chart right here. So on the chart, as I'll now let you see, is two different, tangent lines. So the first tangent line is called peak performance, something that we've been breaking down and we've been really talking about in depth in this training. Peak performance is highly physical. It's about focus, 4x focus, what we're going to do, how we're going to take down the days, how we accomplish our goals in the least amount of fucking time possible, because we're just average men at the same time being badass self-made millionaires, billionaires, guys who just like really want something fucking better for our lives. That's peak performance, and we do it on a daily, on a physical level. But now, from what I found, like, that's just one tangent. As you can see, that is just one fucking tangent. Excuse me, let me get this pause. All right, so what I found is that there isn't just one fucking tangent line. There's two. But the problem is, I don't want to say the problem, it's just that nobody really wants to talk about it, or those who are talking about it are considered kind of crazy. They're kind of wild. They don't know what they're talking about. It's all mysticism, which I agree to a certain degree, where like there's a level of crazy that is like unprolific, and then there's a level of crazy that is prolific, that actually makes sense, and that it co-inspires with, from what I found, our peak performance. Like, what I'm basically saying and what I'm trying to amalgamize and put all together through my words and demonstrate to you is that my mission on this earth is to combine the fucking two. Peak performance, and what I like to call, again, I actually stole it from a Batman comment, but it's like such a dope name. I'm going with it because we're fucking awesome. It's what we can do. Peak performance, and then there's peak awareness. All right, and then there's the concept of self. It's also what we're going to be discussing. Okay, so let me give you that big background information. So as I said, on the same line, peak performance is you, and then on that same line, there's peak awareness. All right, so what I wrote down for peak performance is this. So it's about goal achieving, it's about rapid fire action taking state, life-changing, instant life-changing information gathering, and also a lot of certainty, confidence in self, and all of this little stuff that relates to the physical matter of this form. It's really cool. I really like that about this like aspect, this dynamic of the human form, of ourselves, of our being, okay? And then there's the other aspect that we have been talking about, and actually what this whole portion of the training is about. It's about the secret to focus is energy, right? What does energy consist of? Frequency. And if you want even deeper, like mind fuck you a little bit with the words. There's a saying that I read. It's kind of like a silly, frivolous meme, but I like the way it was phrased, the way it could be posed. The way it went was like this. Meeting God is, or what did he go? It says, finding God is a frequency, or tuning into God is like a frequency. I don't remember how that goes. I'm probably butchering the quote right now. But your state of being God or godlike or being a king of your own kingdom is a frequency. Now, the kicker about that word frequency, all right, when you think of a frequency, what do you think of? You think of a radio frequency. You think of microwaves, like your microwave. You put some food in there, it heats up your food. Frequency, right? That's like, it's typically energetic, which is totally cool because we're talking about the energy. Secret to focus is energy. But there's an underlying word, and there's a word switch if you mix a few things up, all right? Your frequency determines your frequency. Think about that. Frequency, all right? And when I say frequency, there's a thing in, what do they call it? In psychology, it's also written in Robert Cialdini's book called The Commitment Consistency Principle. Now, anybody who actually succeeds in life and they actually became like self-made, they've gathered a mass amount of fortune, it's because they are committed and they're consistent, right? What does the word frequency mean? They're frequent. Right? Your frequency determines your frequency. Now, if we're like putting that all together and rewiring it back to commitment, consistency, and the secret to focus is energy, what does that fucking tell you? God is a frequency. That's what. I think that's how it went. God is a frequency or something like that. Whatever. I'm gonna butcher that. I don't want to keep going on with that. But that is tuning into. It's about tuning into this state of fucking mind where you can accomplish anything that you fucking want, and you can view. Here's where we're gonna be breaking it down and really kicking it all together. Is this concept of the self? That's what this is. Concept of self. I also call it homeostasis. All right. So like where you stand physically, like on a day-to-day level, like you, obviously life is up and down. That's what this thing is, up and down. I've accounted for everything. It's up and down, but you are always here. Okay, that's why when I named it, I call it the Enlightened Observer Identity Chart. You are right here. Your physical form is right here. You are observing. You are constantly moving down, up and down on that line of this frequency thing, whatever you want to call it. You're being frequent through your frequency. Frequent meaning you're committed, you just take actions. You follow through on those actions. If you don't follow through on them, there's consequences, as some people know as karma, yada, 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 blah, 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 right? So, not to blabber on. That, what I just stated for peak performance with you, is right here, I need it. When you're in a peak performing state, you are more likely to be goal achieving. You have more rapid fire energy, you have action, you are highly action taking, and you make more instant life changing decisions, and you are fairly certain in yourself. You have confidence in yourself because you take more action, and the more you are frequent, basically. You are very frequent in your frequency. You are committed. Because you do these things so fucking much, you're tuned into that frequency that you know yourself. All right, and to relate this back down to the self and knowing yourself and getting to know yourself and being a highly high peak performer, you get to this form of certain, what did I call it? Awareness or pre-enlightenment, okay? And you also, because of you doing that, as I said, life is up and down. Life is fucking crazy. Sometimes we go up, like we go to, I call this the abundant zone, where everything's like really great, really fucking cool. You're on top of your stuff. You've beaten the whole rat race, you've done all of that, you have an amazing girlfriend, you have an amazing life, you travel the world, you inspire men, you inspire women, and whatever the hell it is, you've written a book, I don't fucking know. Whatever you love to do, you're in that abundance zone. But yet, at the same time, because you are human, you have to deal with this form, you're going up and down. Like, you have the emotions, you realize that it's not like always a constant up. A lot of people who are like, I can call it right here, near the death zone, like, I don't mean that in a negative way because we don't always stay there. Like, they're always in this state. They're infrequent with their frequency, is the best way to say it. They're very infrequent, and because of this infrequency, they're always in this low state where they think that these guys up here are just always like that. No, it's like watching a television show of the Kim Kardashians. I'm pretty sure that I don't like them, I don't watch them, I don't want to be anything associated with them, but nonetheless, it's like watching them. The only thing that you see, I'm pretty sure that their life isn't always a fucking great spectacle. It's like a constant trial of up and downs. It's like your life and my life. The only thing that we're seeing, because the way this is portrayed through influence and power and persuasion and all this other cool stuff that you can use in your own business and your life and turn yourself around, but like behind all of that is just the highlights. All right, we're just seeing highlights. Therefore, because they see these things in that light, through their infrequency of their actions, through their infrequency of their actions, they see these other people as like, fuck, they're gods. Cue the drool going down my face, that'd be funny. So does that make sense? Okay. So that's one side of it. What I really wanted to break down though, what the thing is, what's more unique, what's more crazy, what's more in depth, and that's so fucking different from what everybody else is talking about in this, in this zone, in this niche, in this, whatever you want to call it, is that peak performance and peak awareness, meaning the ability to basically be aware, highly aware, and very spiritually inept, highly psychic, if you want to go that far. I'm not extremely psychic, but I do have a certain form of empath ability from what I've been told. Again, what I've been told, not what I say, what I've been told. Empathic ability, this kind of just happens when you learn skills. Something that they don't know either. But we'll be breaking that down in a moment. When you become highly psychic, you learn things about psychology, you start to learn more, you become more frequent with your frequency, with your actions, with what you do, with how you treat yourself, how you love yourself, whatever the fuck it is you want to call it, what have you. You become more knowledgeable about it, right? So the more, wouldn't you think though, here's the kicker, to develop your peak awareness, your ability to perceive more in that certain state of mind, to be in a meditative state, to be like motherfucking Osho, if you know who Osho is, and like, not blink for 3 minutes. I've done 1 minute and 50 seconds for not blinking, but I had to do 3. Like, I'm pretty sure if I practice that more, obviously, my frequency in my actions, my frequency, whatever you want to call it, it would make my skills better, because these peak performers all understand that skills are things that we can build. They're highly learnable. Is it hard? Does life make it difficult? Fuck yeah, it does, but nonetheless, you can learn it. Okay? So wouldn't you think, going back to that question, wouldn't you fucking think that if you were to practice more of these skills in your free time or whenever the hell you wanted to be for peak awareness, and I'm not saying being like fucking Batman, maybe you could be like Batman, like disappear in the shadows, that'd be really cool. I could do that, but only rarely. Like, some people, like they don't understand that, like, me and Batman are never in the same room together, and there's a reason for that. Okay? So peak awareness, though, it's your ability to not just concentrate deeply and not blink further and like go into this meditative state where you can see beyond what isn't just reality, and you can read people's emotions. In the way, what I mean by reading emotions is by watching their body language, listening to the tonality in their voice. Am I talking low like this? Am I whispering? Am I telling a story? Is my head nodding a certain way? Is my hair it's like, it's no longer about what I'm saying, it's about what am I doing. Excuse me, about what I'm doing. And I don't just mean by getting high, although that does help if you're smart, if you're intelligent. I'm going to be very blunt when I say this, but if you're a dumb motherfucker and you get high, yes, it helps for a while. You come into like that, and I want to say emphatic state where you're like really emotional and you're really open. But if you're dumb as hell, like, you're not doing anything. You just create that little awareness. That's all that really happens. You come back. So what I'm going to be getting at, and let me just explain to you what peak awareness is. All right. So what I wrote for peak awareness is this. It's identity perception zone. You are aware of your identity, of what you can be and what you're capable of, all right? And it is you being, after a while too, from what I found, it's you being able to have access to the mass form of consciousness. Now, what I mean by that as well is actually something that I'm pretty sure I've gone through, Tony Robbins gone through, you've gone through, everybody's gone through, and it's this thing that Tony Robbins calls grace, as we all know as, excuse me again, as serendipity. Life kind of just gives back to you. Universal abundance. All right, in a moment, this is going to be the second half of this video. We're going to be going into like what happens when how you can technically manipulate the zone, or how you can technically, it's a bad word, how you can technically have control of the zone, hence the word, the control in this thing, through your observance and through you becoming more aware, hence the name of my coaching. Self-awareness coach for men. Not high performance, not peak performance, even though that's the name of my business. Not life coaching, not focusing coach, no, self-awareness coach for men. Right? My preference is over here, peak awareness. Although I do dabble over here a lot, preference is over there. So, what else was I saying? Your access to the mass consciousness, allowing basically you gaining insights from the ether, from the air. I've heard this quote saying, I don't remember who it might have been Napoleon Hill, but he says that ideas are in the air. They just fucking come to you. And yes, they are in the air. If I'm just being real right now because we're in this training, but like if you think about this on a chemistry, have you ever read what is the fuck called? The Alchemist, excuse me. The Alchemist. Basically what they're talking about and what that really is about chemistry on a much, much, much deeper level. Biochemistry, physiology of the human body. Our body actually runs our mind, our body, our soul. I don't want to say soul, but our mind and our body, they run through electrical impulses and also is ran by chemicals, right? Chemtrails. We also have another thing in our, if you go even deeper, you have this chakra zone, 7 chakras, purple, indigo, yellow, red, blue, green. Is it indigo and purple? Yeah. And then there's a white. If you've read my Peak Performance and Self-Mastery playbook, I talk about that in there. And how if you learn more about these and about their metaphorical and metaphysical understandings, you learn about them and how you can implement them, which is your health, wealth, relationships, self, sex, purpose, dynamics in your life, your vision. 7 chakras, 7 things. Doesn't that make sense? Okay? Like if you learn how to work on those things in your life, you actually go up past it. You don't even, basically what happens is, this is you, as I said from earlier. This is the self. When you learn and work on those little more dynamics, which is kind of like these little notches, like say this is the grounding. Grounding is like learning about yourself, actually starting from rock fucking bottom. I had once a client of mine who was complaining about his life. He's like, Gil, why are you always so hard on me? I'm gonna relate this in a moment. Like, I don't get it. Like, you're just so fucking hard. Sometimes, like most coaches, they're just really empathetic. I can't say that fucking word, even though I said it earlier. Empathy is like a lot of empathy. I feel for them, even though I do feel them, but I'm not there. I told them basically is that I'm not here to sugarcoat all of your neurosis, your problems. I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to break down all of those silly ass fucking interpreted beliefs that tell you that you cannot do shit. I'm breaking that down, and then I really believe in like tough love. Tough love. Slow down. Tough love. I broke him down, and then I brought him back up, and I was like, you know what? You're right, though. Sometimes I am really hard on you. But let me ask you a question. If you were to own a building, say you're like Donald Trump, and you wanted to build one, and you had the money to do so, you had all the materials and means and ability to create one, right? Do you create the building from the top, or do you create it from the bottom? The ground. He's like, the ground. I was like, yeah. And then he's like, yeah, you have to like create the structure. He gave a whole in depth about it, right? He was like, yeah, then you have to make sure that the ground's like really level. You have to do this whole thing, like build it up, the structure, the beams. I was like, yeah, exactly. Same exact thing. So what we're talking about is peak awareness, peak performance. You are right here. If this was the self, and this was like the ground chakra, if you want to relate it to the metaphor of the ground, where do you start? That's where you start. You start at the ground. If you wanted to build a business, for example, like who do you have to study that is in your niche marketplace that is the best? I'm like, again, I'm not going to go into this because it's a whole giant fucking topic, but where do you start at the ground level? And who are you going to structure yourself and your life around so that way you can create your own business? And that's the ground. That's just one dynamic. All right? So that's a part of this all comes around to say that you, the self, right here, the peak performance and peak awareness, you have control of your state management. You could be peak performing, or you can have peak awareness, if you want to know what it's like to be peak awareness. Have you ever had a lucid dream? I have them. Not a lot, but I've had them. And I've had very lucid experiences, not just like dreaming, but in real life. It's not like euphoric, we're like, oh, I'm meeting a superstar, celebrity for the first time. Because I've done that. It's really nice. It's a really cool feeling. But it's not lucid. Like another way to describe it is, if you've ever been high, let's just be real again. We're all real fucking human beings. If I offend you and you get offended by me saying, have you ever been high? Like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Why are you here? Get the fuck out. It's like, if you've ever been high before and you're intelligent, not like stupid kind of high, but like you're intelligent, you've been high, you're really empathetic, empathy, if I'm using the word right. Not apathy, empathy, where you feel for other people. It's really strong desire like that. It's like being high without being high. It's naturally high. And not only is it naturally high, it's like that on steroids. So it goes even further. Now you have foresight. Your vision becomes twice as strong. You're pulled by things. There are a very, very, very rare amount of people that actually meet like this. They design their life like this. They have it so that way this feeling, have consistent access to this feeling. Their frequency is in their frequency. They are frequently doing that for that feeling. If you want to go into like the Vedas and the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita, what they really talk about is this state. Okay, the Bible has it, they call it the Christ-like state. The Vedas calls it, the Bhagavad Gita calls it like a Zen-like state, but basically it's going into a state. All right, now, does it have to relate with you being God? I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to tell you that, because I don't want some certain eye to see this and like, hey, motherfucker, take it down. And like, you know what I mean? So, I'm not saying it does. But what I'm telling you is that this thing that we're talking about right now is so much more powerful and it's highly, highly, highly beneficial for you right now. And I know you've invested a lot into this training. Well, not that much into the training, but a lot of time and focus and energy and their attention, because I highly value that. But this portion of the training and this video specifically is important. I'm telling you all of this because it is important that you understand this. Now that you have this form of what we're going to be talking about now, this concept of self, right, the more you actually go through it to your peak performance and you get to that state where you're just like fucking killing it. You're not just over here. What happens is you go into this thing called abundance zone, right? It's basically, you don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have a lot of bitches in your life. I use the word bitches loosely. Deal with it. You can just do it. You're in a state where you're doing whatever you want to do. You're saying whatever you want to say. You're with whoever you want to fucking be with. You don't give a crap about what anybody else says. You're there for you. You are there living on your standards and your standards alone. So what happens is you're moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. Let's say you're working on yourself. You've done the ground. You've done yourself. You understand yourself. You've worked on the health, wealth, and relationships aspects of your life. You've mastered them. You basically move up this peak performance side of the chart and gone up in your stages of your life, and you go into this state or the zone, state, frequency, zone, because these are all actions, they're all just metaphors connecting to each other. This peak performance abundant zone, all right? That's what happened. You just went up a zone in the chart. To conclude this portion of the training, all of these things that we're talking about are facets of the same thing. All right, and then what's going to happen is after you've come down, I kind of took it, but basically that dot right there on the peak performance, let's say peak performance abundant zone, after you've come back down, like the night is coming to an end, you're like closing things down, you have to go to bed, you change clothes, brushing your teeth, take a shower, I don't know, what have you. You go back down and you go back to what we call homeostasis. Your state comes back down. All right, now if you've ever seen the show, before I end this again, if you've ever seen the show Suits, right? It's like a really old show, Suits, with Harvey Specter. That's on HBO. There's a quote in there. Harvey goes like this. He's talking to Mike. Mike comes in. It's like, life is this. I like this. Life is this. That's a neutral zone. And he's aware of it. His self, because of his frequency in his actions, okay, for whatever his zone, his ability to go there consistently, his frequency determines his frequency. Frequency determines your frequency, okay? Frequency being your state, frequency taking your consistent, committed actions, okay? Because he's been there so many times and he's come back down, he becomes aware, or what I like to call it, enlightened. Premature enlightenment. So if I've done anything that you've grasped right now, because you've stayed 27 minutes and 35 seconds into this video, you, my friend, are now enlightened. Cheers.